All right, welcome back to another episode of Podcast PD. We're getting ready to do the live stream here on episode 139. If you are joining us on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, hello to you. But certainly come on over to YouTube and, comment in the chat or comment wherever you're watching from. Honestly, we really don't care. Let us know in the chat where you're watching from. We'll see the apps you're on. We'll throw your comment on the screen just like this. If you leave one, your little face will show up. Hopefully you don't look like a duck. If you do, I'm sorry. So say hello in the chat, and we are going to rock episode 139 right now. Coming up on episode 139 of Podcast PD, AJ and I are going back to the internet to find great questions to answer to help you as an educator. Let's start the show. This is Podcast PD, the show that provides you with anytime, anywhere professional development. Our conversations and guests will provide you with the learning you might get in a faculty meeting or on a PD day. Except you're going to have more fun with AJ Bianco and me, Chris Nessie. Let's start the show. I wonder if, by the way, this is Chris at Mr. Nessie. I'm joined by the podcast Paisano AJ Bianco for more Podcast PD. AJ, do you think people notice that we use a different theme song on YouTube versus on the podcast, or people listening on the podcast don't know that we have a different theme song on Twitter? Or
no.
YouTube?
I don't know, because I didn't even notice it was a different theme song.
I know. I surprised you with that late in 2024. Anyway, welcome to episode 139 of Podcast PD. Spring is in the air. Well, actually, really, it's New Jersey, so we're going from winter to summer this week.
Right.
We don't have spring anymore in New Jersey.
We don't do that.
It's been a long time since we talked about the weather here on this podcast. We used to be a staple of the program. And you serving lunch.
I still do that.
Lunch?
I still do a lot of lunch. Yeah, a lot of lunch. 2 hours of lunch.
Yeah, your hair looks like you had a hairnet on. No, I'm kidding. You look wonderful.
Thank you. It's the outside baseball weather. That's all it comes down to, right?
Yeah, you do look a little flushed today.
Well, I was out there for quite some time. I was on the field from 9 to 2:30, 3 o'clock. Nice. And then I did the lawn. So we're going back to the roots here, man. This is how like the podcast started.
Yeah.
Sunday lawn day podcast. That's it.
That means you might have a podcast to recommend at the end of the show.
There's a good chance. I do listen to a lot of podcasts lately.
Excellent. Want to say hello to Stephanie Scrocky, who is one of our executive producers. She's live in the chat. We appreciate her so much.
Always is.
And if you are, wherever you're watching, if you're watching us live, let us know. And if you listen to this as a podcast, try to make time and join us at the end of a month and hang out with us. We're just trying to, we're two educators having some fun out here.
Always.
All right, AJ.
Yep.
Last episode, 138, we had a lot of fun as we brought some questions to the table and we kind of jumped all around and we gave our thoughts. And we thought that could also be fun this time around. Are you ready for this month's topics?
I'm a little concerned, but I'm ready. I'm concerned because I don't feel like I know we kind of debriefed a little bit, but I don't know if I have the answers everybody's looking for. So let's go with it and kind of see where we at. Let's go.
Okay. Let's start with a fun one. This headline is called Salary Negotiation. Let's start with this. So this comes from somewhere on the internet. Hi all. I just received my first job offer, and I was curious if any teachers had experience negotiating a contract. I'm pretty happy with the salary, but would love to negotiate a signing bonus. I'm moving this May for the position, and I really can't wait until August to get paid. I'd appreciate any advice.
Get a summer job.
Yeah, I don't know.
What do you expect? You're not working in the summer.
Yeah.
If you're not working in your current job, you're not going to get paid.
That's right.
You don't get a signing bonus.
Yeah, I mean, some districts are doing that to try and encourage educators, but it sounds like maybe this district, wherever this person got hired, is not doing signing bonuses. And
Yeah.
even then, I don't know that a signing bonus is something that it's not like you're an athlete and you're going to get a lump sum bonus before you start working. It's probably something they integrate into your checks over the course of the school year, I'm guessing.
You don't get the 1.5 mil signing bonus?
No, there is no NIL money in education.
Could you imagine if there was though?
Who would you want to have you be a sponsor of you?
Personally?
Yeah, AJ, the vice
Wow.
principal. Who would you want to
Yeah.
get to be a sponsor?
I don't know. I need somebody who like offers like who does like
Skechers? I mean, what kind of shoes you wear?
no, I don't know. Like quarter zip t-shirts. Like I need like that Derek Jeter's brand. What is that? Greatness wins. I want them to
Jordan?
sponsor
You
me.
want Jordan brand admin
Oh my
polos?
gosh. No, that's too deep. That's too deep. But like polos or like quarter zip shirts, maybe a tie company.
Izod?
I don't Izod. I don't wear Izod. That's too fancy.
Polo Ralph
Kohl's.
Lauren?
Kohl's. I wear a lot of Kohl's and Men's Warehouse.
Greg Norman.
Old Navy.
Get yourself a performance fleece.
Here we go. Yes, but okay, so I mean, I'm not sure, like
I don't think this person understands the profession they're about to join.
I was just gonna say the same thing. I was like you don't make money in education. So no matter
You
what you do.
also, now I do believe there is opportunity to negotiate, but that happens
That
before you sign that contract. But if you have no experience, you're starting on step one.
that sounds like two different things though. Like negotiating a salary and asking for a signing bonus. Like that's an extreme in the question.
Yes, it
You're
sounds like this person
switching
doesn't understand that they're not getting paid before they start their job and they're trying to get some money before that. But like you just said, go get a job, get a part time job.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't get paid in the summer. Sorry, buddy.
Nah. Actually, speaking of getting paid in the summer, have you ever worked in a district that offered you the ability to spread your pay out over 12 months instead of the 10-month school year?
Other school districts have had like banks come in and talk about what they offer and you can defer some money.
Have you ever done that?
No,
No,
I never did.
not me either. I mean, the boss
I
takes
had
care
some
of all that stuff.
I had summer jobs when I was teaching. So
Yeah,
all the money that was my summer money was when I got paid in the summer.
yeah. No, I'm fortunate enough that I don't have to work in the summer,
Yeah,
and I haven't had to
that's
do that.
awesome.
Long time since I've been on the summer camp circuit.
Yeah. It's been a while for me too, but I used to enjoy that.
All right. So, I mean, my final thoughts on this would be
Yeah, go
uh,
ahead.
get a job. And
Yeah.
if you've already signed your contract, you have missed the opportunity to get any more money. And whatever their salary guide is or rate of pay for your years of employment, you are now locked into that. There is no room to change that. And really, if you want to make more money, then you're going to have to take on other jobs within your school or your district. Maybe depending on the grade level, maybe you're advising a
Mm,
club or you're coaching a sport,
there you
things
go.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
in terms of getting any more base pay, you're done. Unless you at some point move to
Yeah.
another district, and then again you've got that opportunity to negotiate based on your experience.
All right. And if you're listening and this is something that you do in your district and we're just missing out in New Jersey, let us know. I'm very curious what it's like. Like if you are able to, get a little bit of money or a first month's paycheck, whatever the case may be. If that's your experience, let us know, please.
I will not hold back on this. A lot of people do a horrendous job managing their money, and you have people who, while making adult money, live paycheck to paycheck, and there is little to no thought given to future you and what their monetary needs might be.
Right.
So some people just don't know how to manage their money.
Yeah, well, not all of us have a wife who has a podcast about budgeting.
I don't.
Didn't you? Didn't
No,
she? She never had a podcast about budgeting? Was she on a
no.
podcast with you about budgeting?
We have talked about it on the House
Maybe
of Ed
maybe
Tech
maybe that's
before.
what it was. Maybe that's what it
Yeah,
was. Sorry.
yeah.
Lo siento, señor.
De nada. All right. Moving topics. Appropriate title: Moving classrooms. ... Again. Here's the next
Again.
topic. I am wondering how many secondary teachers are asked to change classrooms every year. My situation is that I have been continuing to teach the same grade level, 8th grade algebra and pre-algebra, but because admin continues to add more special education classes, all of the math department has to move down one room. So rather than find a room that is empty and put the new class in there, the entire math department has to change their rooms. Admin always wants the order of our classrooms to go from lowest, 6th grade, to highest, 8th grade. I'm not even sure if the kids have noticed this pattern. I just want to see what the rest of you experience.
Those damn admin creating those classrooms for special education. Damn them. How dare they try to make classrooms equal for all kids? Oh my gosh.
Son of admin.
Those poor people.
Now,
I don't understand. I don't understand.
I will speak to this piece. So at my school, when I first started there, teachers kind of had their classrooms, and you might have a handful of teachers that moved from year to year. People retire, they shuffle things around. Okay. Not uncommon. Okay. Then in my school, this is pre-pandemic, they decided, really one person decided, and they're not there anymore, but this person decided everything needs to be equal and every teacher needs to change rooms during the school day at least once.
Okay.
Some people are moving still a second or even a third time throughout the day. So I've been fortunate enough in the last couple of years where the last 2 years I've been in the same 2 classrooms, right? And luckily they're on the same floor. I don't have to use the elevator.
Right.
But I'll be honest, that second classroom, which is not what I consider my home base, I mean, it is primarily a classroom for another subject. So it is not decorated for history. Like I don't have any personal affects in the classroom.
Right. Of course.
But I mean, I don't know. What's your thoughts? What was your experience when you were in the classroom with changing rooms, if you did that? Although I feel like you had the same room forever and you had a couch in there for some reason.
I did have a couch in one of my classrooms. Yeah,
I remember.
I did. I set that bad boy up like it was a hangout. I love that classroom. That was an awesome classroom. Let's see. Thinking about my experiences, my first couple of years. You know what? My classrooms are pretty much set up the way they were. Right? They didn't move me because the schools that I worked at all wore like teams. So we kept the teams close together, and they didn't really want to put like the same team so far apart that the kids are traveling all over the place. So my classrooms were pretty much where they were. The only time I got asked to move a classroom was when I got asked to move a grade level to support, the new teachers that were getting hired so they can, be working together, the 2 new teachers. Where I'm at right now, we've moved classrooms over the last couple of years. Like there things pop up, right? Things pop up. There's grade levels that need switching. There's special ed classrooms that need to be put in different locations. We need to move classrooms for different programs. Like whatever the case may be, we have moved classrooms. We try not to, because obviously in a middle school you have your classroom set up. It's in an area there for a reason. We try to keep everything together in wings if we can, but sometimes you got to move. That's the way it is. I'm trying to understand this question though, because like they're saying they had to slide down they had to slide down because they want the math classrooms together, 6, 7, and 8.
It sounds like they've got a 6th grade math, a 7th grade math, a 8th grade math, and now they want them all to move down a room in the hallway, and then the room that now becomes open is going to be another. It sounds like special education. I don't think the special education is a factor to this.
No, I don't understand that. All right, so they're trying to keep so I guess they don't want to have a random classroom in between the math classrooms, is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
So they might just be departmentalized, right? They're just trying to keep their classrooms together.
Which does not sound ridiculous. But again, this could be the type of teacher who thinks that their classroom is actually theirs and they own it. And they
what do you mean?
Not.
You
right?
No? I don't know what you mean by
No,
that. I thought, no, it's my
it's not a
classroom.
rent-controlled apartment where where
No,
you
that's
get
mine.
one clip. Oh, I know you're being sarcastic, right?
Of course I am.
Okay.
Right.
Like, I'll be
No,
honest.
look, I mean,
If I had to be in two different classrooms next year, I'm going to be annoyed. But I also don't have a lot to move because I don't actually
I feel like
move in.
high school seems different though. Like my experience in high school, just hearing from people and doing it for 1 year, I didn't have a classroom. I when I did high school, I had 4 different classrooms for my 5 different topics. Like, is that normal? Or was I just not in a good situation?
That sounds like a horrendous situation. Was that the first year
It
you were there and
was.
the only year you were
Well,
there? Yeah.
I was also traveling between 2 different high schools, so I had to drive in the middle of the day.
Oh, well, yeah, you got the short straw, my man. Like that makes my
I
thing
did,
not
yeah.
seem
I was a traveling teacher
so
basically.
bad. I mean, again, but in my building, there are people who
Yeah.
switch more than twice in a day. But for the but
Mm.
I would say like 90 to 95% of my staff, you're in two classrooms. You've got one
Okay.
class in one and two
Okay.
classes in another. So
I got you.
I think it all depends. But I mean, it's education. I mean, like any
I
job,
got
you've
you.
got to roll with it. They're going to do what they're going to do. And I mean, if you're going to quit your job over your classroom, I mean, I don't
I
know.
mean, you're gonna
Should you be
find
doing
yourself
something
in a
else?
different situation. You're gonna find yourself in a situation where you might not have a classroom that's yours. You might have to share a classroom, which I know a lot of people don't like. Right?
Yeah. Or I mean, maybe you
I
gotta
don't know.
maybe think back to Jared, the principal on the cart, right? Guy gave up his office.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Be mobile, be flexible.
Yeah.
That's education, right?
That's it. Flexibility. I think it's the biggest part of education that people don't
Flexibility.
realize anymore.
All right.
Sorry.
This should be an interesting one.
Let's
Here's
go.
the topic.
Bring it.
How to support my partner who is a teacher. Here we go. Good evening. My partner is a teacher at an urban high school. I understand it to be the last resort of the traditional schooling system in our city, where children are sent when no other school can continue to educate them. If this place can't work with them to get them a diploma, then the other option seems to just have them drop out of high school. Even then, not all of them obtain a diploma, but apparently those who do not will often be linked up with tradespeople to pursue a career. Okay. My partner thinks that they're wait, hold on.
Yeah,
She doesn't. Okay, the partner doesn't think they're bad kids, and neither do I. She is also facing a lot of problems with these students. There's a lot of stories, and some of them are the worst kinds of home life imaginable. Okay, so
this person has never heard of schools before, I guess.
Yeah. So I would say, I mean, when I initially looked at this,
God.
I mean, take the type of student out of it.
Yeah, please.
Right. So I think this would be more about, how to support your partner, spouse, whatever, who works in education. And I think the approach that you and I can take this from is not only are you and I in education, but our spouses also work in education.
This is true.
So, does your spouse ever have a tough time in education? And how do you support her?
I mean, yeah. I mean, shoot. Like we have the conversations every night. Like, how was your day? What went well? What do you want to improve? Like, education's tough, man. And like, I always wonder, and I've heard this from different people. I know a lot of people whose spouse is also in education. And I know very few people who have a spouse who's not in education and they just don't get it. Right?
Yeah.
They just don't get it. So I don't know what the dynamic there is. Like, for us, it's kind of easy to talk about education, but it's also difficult. I try to support the best I can, but like, I'm also looking at it from a different perspective. Because if, for example, Jamie wants to talk about the leadership in her building or in her district, I got to put that hat on. I got to listen and be like, well, they're right. And she doesn't want to hear that, And sometimes they're not right. And I tell them what I would do. In our situation, we did the same thing, blah, blah, blah. So trying to support, I try to find like both places. I try to find like, hey, you're doing a great job. That person's wrong. Versus, when I can tell, it's like, you know what, you're kind of going a little bit too much there. That's not exactly what you should be upset about. And I give her the reasons. But she just want to hear it. So how do you support? You just keep listening. That's what it comes down to. Just got to keep listening and make sure that you're understanding of what's going on around them.
Yeah, this is the general life advice portion of Podcast PD.
Yeah,
like
yes.
if you have a partner, you just need to listen.
Just listen.
But I will say something that I've picked up recently. I might have been listening to Simon Sinek's podcast, A Bit of Optimism. He's got some great guests and he's having great conversations. And he talked recently about, with a partner, or if you're having any type of argument about anything, to maybe set some ground rules. And maybe you need to ask your partner up front, are you looking for a solution or do you just want me to listen? Right.
I like that.
I think something I struggle with is I want to try and solve my wife's problems.
Of course. It's our job. No?
Happy wife, happy life. Whether I caused the problem or not, I want to make the problem go away. So there's nothing more frustrating than having your partner be aggravated at something that you have zero control over. And now it's affecting your home life.
Right. Or you just made it worse.
Yeah, or you just made it worse. So I would say you've got to listen and you've got to maybe find out what type of support are they looking for.
I like that. That's Simon, man. He knows what's up.
He knows what's up. I like Simon, what he says. And I try to do what he says when Simon says.
You got to make sure Simon says it, though.
Of course, or else you're out.
Okay. Right.
On the couch.
The
No.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Listen. That's it. Listen.
That's what I do. Listen.
You.
All right.
What else we got?
All right.
What else?
This is fun so
That's
far.
it? That's all we got?
No, we got.
all right.
We got one more. But before we do that, if you're enjoying these conversations that AJ and I have, or if we have a guest, maybe you get value from these conversations, and I hope that you do.
How could you not?
Value, huh?
How could you not?
How could you not? We're having a ball, and we got people watching and listening, so life is good. But if you find value and you want to give something back, consider becoming an executive producer of Podcast PD. You can give back to the podcast on a monthly or a yearly basis. Just go to podcastpd.com/executive producer, and all executive producers will receive an exclusive Podcast PD executive producer sticker. And if you do choose to support us for a year upfront, then we will send you the sticker. We will send you a t-shirt, a mug, and hats are available.
Ooh,
we have the two
hats.
principals on. So we got hats too.
They got hats.
If you go to our website, if you can buy our merch, that's a great way to support the show as well. But we're looking for awesome executive producers. And we want to thank our current executive producers, including Holly Landez, Sandy Hartman, and of course, Stephanie Scrocky.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Again, if you're listening to this, that shows us support for sure. Share the podcast. Share the podcast.
Can I reminisce? Can we reminisce for a second?
Go ahead.
There you go. Remember we used to do this, and I'm the idiot who offered like a free voicemail. Remember that? I would be your voicemail. Like people like gave a crap that I would be their voicemail.
That's funny. Do I have the thing on? Hold on. I might have the thing on. I think I got the thing on.
I don't think you did. That was a long, long time ago. I said I would do the voicemail as Lego Batman.
Hold on. Do I have that here ready to go?
No, dude. That's like going
Computer,
back in the archives.
Lego Batman here. Play Podcast PD.
Did that come through?
Came through. Oh my God.
Yes. The soundboard is working tonight.
Wonderful.
Here we go. Great. I'm glad I brought it up. So,
What the hell did you just say?
wow, you're really going back. All
Smack
right.
me in the face.
Okay.
I'll be like in and out real quick.
All right. Let's get to the last question.
All right.
My goodness.
Last topic. All right. Here's the headline. Not my best year. May be on a PIP next year. What next? Here we go. This year has been a bad one for me as an educator. It started with an awful summer where a roommate and I had taken on, hold on. I should have read this first. We got involved with each other.
Oh boy.
And manipulated everyone in our household against each other. Anyway, the whole let's get to the teaching part.
Yeah, can we please?
Okay.
Oh my goodness. What are
right.
you reading?
I'm on
Like,
Reddit.
you sure?
Yeah. No, I know where I am.
Okay.
Okay. We don't need the reason. Let's say you're an educator and you
There
had
we
a
go.
rough year, and now your administration is saying, we're going to put you on a professional improvement plan for next year. AJ,
Yeah.
what would be your approach? Have you ever dealt with this as an administrator? I'm going to go out on a limb and say you were never put on a PIP as a teacher.
No, I was
Neither,
not. No.
Neither have I.
Neither. No. Good.
Thoughts on that?
I don't have thoughts on that because honestly, I get a little upset when I have to hear that kind of stuff because like we're professionals,
Yeah.
right? And if you're not doing your job as a professional, what are you doing?
Now, to be
I
fair,
guess, yeah.
there are educators who they can be trying to do things professionally, but let's be honest, they should not be teaching.
Yeah, right.
Try as they might, they're not doing a good job.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of people out there who just do this job because they feel like they can get their summers off.
Yeah, it's a shame.
It really is. Punch in, do the work, leave. Nothing different for the kids. I don't know. I look, you can have a bad year. You can have your personal life impact you in a variety of ways, but at the same point, like you gotta put the kids first. You gotta put your job before everything else. Like,
I don't know that is the solution.
okay, talk to me.
Well, I think we're living in a different time. I mean,
True.
And really you have that, like before Google, after Google kind of thing. And it's like before pandemic, after pandemic. I
Sure.
think it's become more common for teachers to express their burnout as one reason why they might not be performing. Because, they're just tired and like, I can't keep it up. I can't do the job at this high level while things are constantly being thrown on my plate kind of thing.
Yeah, I get that.
Right?
I do. I get that.
But the comment that stood out from you was, kind of, put the job first. And I think it's becoming more acceptable. And to a degree, I agree. And I guess I've always kind of felt like, work to live. Don't live for your work. And I was guilty of that at the beginning of my career and leading up to becoming a teacher, putting this profession on a pedestal.
Yeah.
And, becoming a teacher was like this holier than thou thing that I was going to do with my life. And I don't know, maybe I've seen the reality of education or, it looked glamorous, from the outside. And now that I'm in, it's like, we know what the BS that we deal with as educators, whether you're an admin or classroom teacher.
Yep. Every day.
So I just think it's more acceptable to express frustration. And maybe if there's a lot going on in your life, maybe this is not the right profession for you.
Yes.
Right. But to fully separate, again, I think it's important not to come in and dump your personal problems onto your students.
Correct.
Right. I would never, have an argument with my wife and bring it in and, talk about it with the kids at my high school class.
Correct.
Right. That there does have to be that separation of personal and professional for sure. But I think you have teachers and educators today who are making bad choices in terms of what they're saying or what they're doing in their schools and classrooms, which is going to lead to problems like this that are going to affect your job performance. Um, I don't know. I just disagree with that little point about focus only on your job.
No, you're allowed to disagree. I understand. Um, I don't know. Maybe integrity. My integrity would not allow me to be so bad at my job that I would get myself put on a PIP. I guess I would do anything in my power to make sure that like I'm doing what I have to do, so that like I don't know. That's my thing, right? The 1% better beat yesterday, all that kind of stuff. Like that's my mindset. And like if I knew there you go, we're back. Sorry about that. Don't know what happened. Hopefully the administration is talking to them and letting them know what they could do going forward.
Well, I'll give you a little more from this as we're talking. I was kind of skimming through. So the person also shared in this post, for some context, my administrators are super supportive. They have been on my side since I started there. They're always more than willing to offer support. My problem is that I've been conditioned to never ask for support after a decade working in call centers. So I guess this person had a different career where
Okay.
you had to
Yeah.
solve your own problems.
Yep.
It was generally discouraged because it showed you didn't know what you were doing. So it's been hardwired into my brain, and it makes me very wary about asking admin colleagues or even our learning support for help. I self-sabotage because toxic workplace culture had brainwashed me. I know that's a poor excuse, so I acknowledge
is.
it's a learning experience and need to
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah.
I remember when I was going through my teacher preparation where people said, if you're struggling, don't go to your administrators for help, go to your colleagues.
Okay. Fair.
What are your thoughts on that?
Um, I I hate to just like say that's nonsense, but I feel like that's nonsense because I'm not that kind of administrator, right? So my job would be to build a relationship so the person would know that if something's wrong, that they can come and talk to me or the
Right.
principal.
But I feel like you as
But a
an
lot of people don't
administrator,
do that. Right.
you probably explicitly told your staff, hey,
Yeah.
if there's anything I could, like, you've expressed it,
Yeah.
right? There are probably some
Yeah.
administrators that through other modes of
Oh,
communication
true.
let you know, do not bother me or
Right.
do not come to me
Yeah.
or would
I mean,
hold it against you.
I've had people like that, but I feel like I've also had people who are great and like, hey, whatever you need, just talk to us, let us know.
Yeah.
And that was much appreciated. But I guess, this person doesn't sound like they're going to anybody. They're not going to their colleagues. They're not going to anybody else. There's no system for them to let out their frustrations or find
It
ways
sounds
to
like they
improve.
know that they need help and would be accepting of any help or advice, but
Yeah. They don't want
they've
to.
got this little block and they're not.
Yeah.
Which is why you're on a PIP, because you're not doing your job well.
There you go.
It sounds like they want to do their job well. I don't know. I guess
That's
my
a weird
advice
one.
would be, I mean,
Don't get yourself
maybe
on a
have a
PIP.
better year next year. If you do your job, you'd be off the PIP.
Yeah. My whole
And I'm
thing
pretty
is
sure
that,
no matter where you are, they're going to offer you extra professional development. They should identify your areas of weakness and want to build you up in those areas where maybe you're not as successful. At least that's how it should work. That's my
I
understanding.
mean, yeah, and next year, now that you're on a PIP, you'll get all the PD that you need. So congratulations.
There you go. So if you, yeah, you're right. Okay. That's all the topics that I
Wow.
bring to the podcast PD table this evening.
That's pretty cool. Appreciate that.
That was fun. Again, I do like this format. It gives us the opportunity to kind of bounce around a couple topics. So hopefully you enjoyed this, my friend.
I did enjoy that. The topics were harder for me this year because I didn't realize like I don't know anything about other people.
Well, hey, we'll give it another shot in another month. How about that?
I like it. I like it.
Stephanie chiming in with a comment. It sounds like they figured out part of where they went wrong. It sucks they had a rough year, but no, it's a matter of improving and doing better. Try asking for help. It's about how you respond now.
Huh. I like that.
I like that.
She's on top of it. She knows.
Yeah. Not because she's ever been on a PIP.
No,
Stephanie-
she knows.
Stephanie
She knows
what's
how
up.
to. She knows how to be a good individual.
I like that advice. All right, you're on a PIP. Now what? Can't go
Yeah.
backwards. How are you going to move forward?
Yeah, really hope that this person moves forward.
Life's not about how hard you get hit, how hard you hit. It's about how hard you get hit, get up,
Hmm.
and keep moving forward.
Thank you.
That's how winning is done.
That is how winning is done. If anybody knows where that came from, shoot us a text or
There you
tweet or whatever we do these days.
Yeah, tweet, quote of the episode.
That
AJ,
that quote is also on my board, by the way, at school.
Really?
Yeah, I have it
Maybe
on.
we do a little PPD Instagram on your board.
Sure.
Send that out. Where's it from? So you might have to cover the name.
It's a picture, so yeah, definitely.
Oh,
Yeah, I know.
yeah. All right, we'll figure it out.
Yep.
You said you listened to a podcast. You've been mowing the lawn. So why don't you give us a podcast recommendation for this episode before we say goodbye? What should people check out?
Oh my gosh, on the spot. Hold on, I gotta open the podcast player.
Hold on. Here, I'll help you out.
Yeah, give me the music. It didn't help. No, don't do it again. I've been listening to a variety of podcasts lately. So
Amen. Amen.
you are really bringing back the hits. I've been listening to a variety of podcasts lately, and I don't know where to go with this one. So I'm having a hard time. Do I want to go with something new? Do I want to just throw one out there that I really enjoy? Oh gosh. I don't know. All right, I'll give a shout out. Here's a shout out. I was on this podcast. So I'm not doing my episode, but
You could
Make it
shout
a-
that episode out too, fool.
no, I don't like doing that kind of stuff. Let's shout out my guy here, the peddling principle, if you will. Do you know the peddling principle?
I do not. Tell me more.
Well, he's a wonderful guy. So David Walker has the podcast, the Teach, Lead, Innovate podcast. It's a fairly new podcast that he's putting out there, and he's doing a very good job. Dave is a elementary principal in New Jersey. He's been at Ed Camp several times. He is a wonderful, wonderful guy. And David Walker is putting out the podcast, Teach, Lead, Innovate podcast. And I was on one of the episodes. I don't know if it had a number to it, but I was there. It's April 9th. He's been interviewing students. He's been interviewing leaders and interviewing other educators. His latest episode, which came out this past Tuesday, which was April 22nd, if my math is correct. We'll go with that. He had our friend
23rd. Go ahead.
23rd. It was so close. My goodness. So close. He had our friend Dr. Jose Fales.
Yeah.
You know Jose,
Yeah. Josue.
right? Yeah. So he was on there, and he talks about social emotional learning, equity, and culturally responsive leadership. David's a great dude. His podcast is fantastic. Josue is a wonderful gentleman that if you don't know him, you check him out. He is a educator and now has the GOMO educational services that you can talk about and learn about and focus on equity. I'm not going to give you one episode because I feel like this podcast tackles a variety of topics. So
Right.
take a look, dig in.
Well,
Yeah,
I'll
go
take
ahead.
it upon myself to read the description for the episode that you appeared on,
Don't do
which
that.
says,
I
as your
didn't
face
want
is on
that.
screen, shut your hole, I'll mute you. So, AJ Bianco is an assistant principal with a passion for innovative teaching practices, and he shares his journey into education and his leadership style. He emphasizes the importance of building relationships with middle school students and meeting their diverse needs. AJ discusses his approach to discipline and conflict, focusing on restorative practices and conversations. He also highlights the significance of social emotional learning and supporting teachers' well-being. AJ explores the future of education with advancements in AI and technology. He concludes by sharing his various podcasts and how to connect with him.
Yeah. I talked about our podcast.
Nice.
You're welcome.
Very cool. So we will link to the Teach, Lead, Innovate podcast in our show notes, which are a swipe or a tap away in your podcast player. Or if you go to podcastpd.com/139, you will find all the different things that AJ and I talked about in this episode linked for you there. And that'll do it for this episode. This is our May 2024 episode of the podcast. We will be back. I don't have my phone in front of me.
We're back in May, the week before Memorial Day, which
Let's
would
be. Let's take a look at that
the
calendar real quick.
19th, May 19th.
Yes, we will be back on May 19th. Same
May 19th.
Podcast PD time, same Podcast PD channel. All right.
It'll be a good one.
It will be a good one.
It always will be.
We might have a guest. We might come up with more questions on the internet.
I think we'll have a guest.
I think we'll have a guest, yeah.
I think we'll have a guest.
One way or another. But we want to hear your thoughts on Podcast PD about the conversations that we're having. Send us an email, feedback@podcastpd. And if you have the time, we would appreciate it if you would tell somebody else about Podcast PD. Maybe share this very episode with them from the player you're listening to right now. Share it on Instagram or Twitter or wherever you are sharing what you're learning. Please consider sharing us. And thank you for listening. We'll be back in a month. See ya.
See ya. Be good.